All right. Hello and welcome to the prerequisite course for the Body Worker's Guide to the Nervous System. We're going to go over some basic nervous system anatomy and physiology just so that everybody's on the same page with our base of knowledge as we deepen into the work. So, first and foremost, I just want to talk about the nervous system and how it is laid out. So, we have the peripheral nervous system, we have the central nervous system, and then we also have the voluntary aspect of the nervous system that's wired to voluntarily move our muscle groups. Then there is the autonomic aspect of the nervous system, and this really controls the blood pressure, heart rate. I mean, a myriad of different functions that are constantly going on under the radar. We don't have to think about how to digest food. We don't have to think about a lot of the information that is coming and going from our central nervous system in the autonomic branch of the nervous system. So, from a systemic point of view, there are two branches of the autonomic part of the nervous system, and those are known as the parasympathetic and the sympathetic branches. Parasympathetic is going to be that rest and digest aspect of the nervous system. This is where a large majority of the blood flow goes to the gut and then gets to be distributed throughout all of the body tissue and the organs. There is a general softening of tissue in the entire body, specifically in the connective tissue. Now, in the connective tissue, when it's in the sympathetic aspect, it becomes more tensile. And so when we go into the parasympathetic, that tensile aspect, that whipcord strength of the connective tissue gets to soften. And the function of that is that the connective tissue doesn't have a direct blood supply within the tissue. It depends on fluid to bring the nutrients that it needs and to get rid of wastes that it has through that fluid system. And so in the parasympathetic nervous system, that tissue softens, it kind of plumps up and allows tissue to receive what it needs. There's also a lengthening and relaxing of muscles, which is part of that same function. And the immune system, because there are so many cells in the gut area, the influx of blood really brings this enlivenment to the immune system where it can create all the things that it needs for the daily care and function of our entire system. In body work, this is the part of the nervous system where we experience that holistic shift. And a holistic shift is when you're working and you kind of notice your client starts breathing deeper, something shifts in the whole vibe of the room as if they're deepening into that relaxation. And when you feel that happen, there's actually kind of a turning on of the nervous system in a whole body awareness, a whole body assessment of health and vitality and tasks that need to be done. And this happens on all levels, not just the ones that are needed for survival, which is what we find in the sympathetic branch of the nervous system. So, in the sympathetic branch of the nervous system, we're working more on the fight or flight aspect. This is when the blood flow, that large majority of the blood flow that was in the gut, is distributed into the muscles, into the lungs, and into the sense organs. The tissue becomes tensile, knowing that the muscles are about to possibly need to ask for very strong action. So the tissue becomes like steel in the capacity of protecting those muscles from being torn. The muscles are primed for action, and the immune system is still online. However, the immune system has a different function in this mode of the nervous system. it actually goes into more of a primed for compartmentalization, damage control, so that if we are injured during a fight or flight event, that we would still be able to respond to the danger. So there's a prioritization of how things are distributed. And as such, the survival systems really override the communications within the nervous system. So, a lot of the organ systems that we use just for daily maintenance, they kind of take a back burner, and the information coming and going to those organ systems is decreased in order to make room for those flight or flight actions and responses. Now, keep in mind that this is a functional separation. There is so much overlap within the nervous system that when we make divisions like this, it's really just for us to be able to understand how the different modes can affect us. So, when we are in our day to day life, we might find that we are kind of going in between these different aspects of the spectrum. So, yes, of course, a life or death situation is going to be highly sympathetic, and a relaxed coming out of a massage is going to be in that deep parasympathetic. But we cycle through these throughout our day to day experience. So, driving down the road, having a energetic conversation with a friend is going to land a little bit more on the sympathetic spectrum. Watching shows, even though we're quote relaxing, if the show is giving our mirror neurons information that something very exciting is happening, we are actually in that sympathetic mode of the nervous system, and the body will kind of respond. In moment to moment, we can go from a very deep relaxation into ready to go in a split second, based on the chemicals that are circulating in our blood and in our system. So keep in mind that this is just kind of a functional way for us to look at how the nervous system responds to stimulus from our environment and stimulus from within our own bodies. Pain, chronic pain, can keep us in a chronic sympathetic state because it's causing our body to go into that fight or flight. Something's wrong, something bad is happening, even though we may be in a yoga class or feeling like we don't have a whole lot of stress in our life. We can get stuck in that sympathetic aspect of the nervous system. So I just wanted you to have a good, clear picture in your mind. When I talk about parasympathetic, I want you to think rest and digest. When I say sympathetic nervous system, we're talking about that fight or flight. I want you to understand that there's a physiological response in each mode of the nervous system that is going to be more specific to the needs of the system, with the way how much blood flow is in what parts of the body and things like that. From a body work perspective, of course, we are going to be working with the client in kind of deepening and deepening into that parasympathetic, because of course this is where we want to work within that holistic shift area, within that aspect where the whole body gets to bring up what it's needing, and nothing's on the back burner. In that moment, the body is able to have these big shifts that go beyond just the physiology of massage, but really brings it into a holistic experience. Thank you so much for attending our nervous system anatomy and physiology. Join us in the next video to discuss sequencing and how we move through the sympathetic nervous system. See you soon.